It was really hard just being the only girl on the team. I felt like some of the guys didn't want me there. They kind of told me physically in the room, with a couple black eyes and hard cross faces. And it's like, okay, I know you don't want me here, but because you don't want me here, I guess I'm going to stick it out just to make you mad.
You're listening to Spartan Combat on SpartanUp. Learn from battle-tested combat athletes with your host, Ryan Warner.
Spartans! Welcome back to the Combat Series. This is your host, Ryan Warner. My guest today is Victoria Francis. She's a two-time member of Team USA Women's Freestyle Wrestling Team. She's one of the best at her weight in the world, and she talks about a moment where her initial coach tried to discourage her from competing on the boys' team. Enjoy it, folks.
Today's episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by BetterHelp. Spartan Up listeners can save 10% on their first month by going to betterhelp.com/Spartan.
Okay. Victoria Francis, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We were just reminiscing. It's always great to have an Illinoisan on. Take us back to Litchfield. I heard in 5th grade you told your teacher you wanted to be the president. Can you confirm or deny?
Yeah. I sometimes I forget I ever did that, and I'm looking back like, why did I ever think that was, thing? But I had told my 5th grade teacher, like, I wanted to be the first female president, which, I guess I could still do it. I could still make that dream happen. I'm still in the running. But I even in 5th grade, I kind of wanted to do great things, good things, give my best to the world. And in my mind, I guess that was president.
That was it at the time. Now,
Yeah.
Do you have siblings or parents that are athletic and driven like that?
I have an athletic family, sort of. Like my dad, before he had kids, he did a lot of biking. He would, go bike 40 miles, and go do that. He was a police officer, so he was kind of fit when he started. My younger brother was also in wrestling for a couple years. He's so naturally like athletic, but he doesn't have like the ambition. Like he's just like, yeah, I'm not much for sports, but he's tall, big guy. So like everybody's trying to get him for football, and he's just like, I don't play football. So, but no, I'm kind of the only real major athlete in my family. Yeah, I kind of stick out.
And I'm guessing that Litchfield's a small town, right?
Yes.
So
My graduating class was 96 people. So.
There you go. So
yeah.
I'm guessing they didn't have a lot of female wrestlers on the team. What was your experience like getting into wrestling at an early age and then kind of on through high school?
Yeah, so I started in middle school in 6th grade, and I was the only girl on the team, and I just knew it was hard, and I was like, but it wasn't, I felt like I could do it. It's just like, I know I'm a hard worker, and if all you need me to do is work hard, I can do that. Which is funny looking back, my middle school coach told me, he's like, I was trying to run you off. So we just ran like the whole first practice, and you stuck with it. So I was like, yeah, I did. I did as I was told. There was one year in 8th grade where there was a girl on the team with me, but she didn't stick with it. But yeah, it was really hard just being the only girl on the team. I felt like some of the guys didn't want me there. They kind of told me physically in the room, with a couple black eyes and hard cross faces. And it's like, okay, I know you don't want me here, but because you don't want me here, I guess I'm going to stick it out just to make you mad. So it was definitely hard. But thankfully, my dad got me into going into girls tournaments with the USWA. And that gave me a chance to be competitive against, female wrestlers my size, and notice, my progress, even though I'm getting my butt kicked by boys on the daily.
How often were you wrestling in all girls tournaments growing up?
So my first couple years, I just went to the Illinois ones. I'd go to one a year. But after that, my dad started taking me to Wisconsin, to Indiana, and then Missouri, Kansas. And then my senior and junior year, I went to the Nationals in Michigan. So I was getting like 5 to 6 girls tournaments a year. I never did like the USA Wrestling stuff just because it was expensive for him to get a coaching card, me and my membership. So we just stuck to that circuit, and it worked out for me, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, you're one of the best in the world. And I mean, it's incredible to see how far anyone's path can go, but especially you, where at your early days in wrestling, we all know it's hard enough, but people are actively trying to get you to quit coming. And so as you said that, I'm like, God, that sucks that there's an environment out there like that, and it's kind
Yeah.
of a bummer, because you want to be there, and why would you want why would you want to be somewhere where someone doesn't want you? And so, how did you process that? And as you were coming up, did you harbor a lot of it, or?
I mean, it was definitely more of a motivation for me, is like, you don't want me here, you don't think I can do this, like, I'm going to prove you wrong. But even though it was like hard on me, and this is kind of a mindset I've had like even the past few years as I've seen women's wrestling growing, is even though it's hard on me, at least it's opening the door to the next girl. So, my middle school coach, like I said, he was trying to run me off the first day, but now he's like one of my biggest supporters. And if the girl ever came across his room again, like, he would understand that, hey, girls also belong here. And, it was hard on me, but I've opened those doors for the next girls to come through that room.
That's so cool to think about it that way, is that you kind of took the pain and punishment so that now hopefully other young girls out there aren't experiencing that.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're wearing a Life University sweatshirt, and I gotta ask, because I thought it was it's super cool that there's this Women's Sports Foundation fund, and you guys were the recipient of it. Tell me a little bit about the program at Life University.
Right. So I got connected with Life University in 2018 during my sanction. I met Ashley Sword and Christian Slavin, and they kind of took me under their wing and became my coaches. I got to go out there, meet their girls. And it was really incredible meeting their team and just how their culture is there. It's always meeting other teams, because every culture is a little different. But got to meet them and, help out the program a little bit and train with them. And then Women's Sports Foundation was offering the first year of the Tara Vanderveer Fund to help pay for women's coaching in the college level. Life won that. Life Women's Wrestling won that. And I ended up taking the position, which was really cool, because not only then were Ashley and Christian, my wrestling coaches, but then they were my coaching coaches, like showing me kind of the behind the scenes and the logistics of, handling a team. We got to run WCWAs again that year. So that was a really cool experience to be on both sides of that. So it was definitely a really good experience for me. I'm very grateful that I got to be part of that.
And when you were at Lindenwood, was that an all girls team there as well?
Yes. Yeah. Lindenwood Women's Wrestling was kind of like one of the top 5 teams when I was there for WCWA. They kind of dropped off after some coaching changes, but there's still a women's team there as far as I know.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I was just curious on that foundation award. So that paid for essentially your salary for a year. Is that right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
That's what it went to. Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned earlier that you were coming up through the ranks and you were getting to more and more all girls tournaments as a kid. One of the tournaments I wanted to ask you about was the 2014 Junior Worlds. Where was that at?
That was in Croatia.
And was that your first international trip?
No, thankfully I went to Germany, the Germany-Austria tour earlier that year. And then I think I also went to Mexico for Pan Am. So I had a couple I had an overseas trip and a couple internationals, but thank goodness, because that first one was just like, I was so nervous, so anxious, so nervous, didn't know what to expect. And it was definitely eye-opening, going to a foreign country the first time, flying with the first couple flights before you meet up with everybody on your own. So I was like nervous about that. And it was a really fun summer for me. It was a big step of growth.
What was the biggest kind of the not the biggest, but your fondest memory from that first 2014 Junior Worlds?
Shoot. I just remember getting the chance to kind of explore the city. We were in Zagreb, getting to explore, and it just felt like, all right, like I'm kind of getting grown now. Like I'm not, on vacation with mom or dad, it's like I'm out here with my cohorts and we're just, checking things out, and it's fun. And that was just really cool. And then, going out after the tournament to go, celebrate and, got pizza and ice cream. It was just fun to, be with wrestlers and just having a good old time.
That's pretty cool that, once you're at that level, you're in a rare group of wrestlers that gets to travel the world and wrestle. And you've been doing that since 2014, which is crazy. You're a veteran of the tour now. It's just, when you look back, did you ever have any ideas that you would wrestle this long and make a career out of it?
Yeah, like once again, like going back, like as long as all I have to do is work hard, like I can do that. Like I can always put, the effort forward. So I feel like, I have the ability to go long term. So even going through like college years, I was like, yeah, 2020, 2024, like that's the plan. In middle school and high school, I did not have that intention at all. I was like, high school, I'm done. Like I'm not wrestling college. That's gonna be too hard. I want to focus on academics because I was definitely a nerd growing up and very academically, focused. So I didn't think wrestling past high school was in my future. But once I got on the college scene, I was like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. And you've talked a lot about the physical work as something you welcome. I'm always curious about the mental side of things. How do you think about the mental game? Do you take time of the day to meditate? Do you do a lot of mental reps? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that's been kind of something I've gotten into the past couple of years because, like I said, like you were saying, I really just welcome the physical side, and it's something my dad has always tried to like kind of build into me. He's like, you should try meditate, or he just gives me like really good affirmations. Like if I see him, he, like, you believe you can win, you're gonna win. It's just kind of that positive thinking. But yeah, I try to meditate. I try to meditate daily. It doesn't always work out, but I like to meditate like right before practice. Like I'll drive to practice, sit in my car, 5-10 minutes, meditate, and that just really helps calm me down and like kind of set that barrier of like, all right, whatever happened before is before. Now it's practice time. I do enjoy journaling. I think the more of that is just kind of like reflecting on the practice, reflecting on the day, what went well, what needs to be done tomorrow. And I love visualizing. Like visualization like has been something I was able to utilize even during college. Just getting those reps even when you can't physically be on the mat, or you have been on the mat and it's like, I need more. It just helps give you that confidence. I always tell my girls, like, if you've done something before, you're confident you can do it again. Well, when you kind of get those visualizing reps in, you've seen yourself do it. So it just builds that confidence and really relates to your performance.
And so that's something you're teaching the girls you wrestle now, even. Or
yeah,
the girls
like
you coach now, I'm sorry.
Yeah, at life. That's one of my favorite things to kind of help them with is like, because especially you get so much, input on, your strength conditioning and your technique and the mat strategy. Like I feel like sometimes in college you don't get that open door to the mental side of things yet. So I try to really push that. Like sometimes I'll run a meditation before practice, or, just talk to the girls one-on-one. Like I was nervous before my match. I felt like I messed it up. It's like, all right, well, let's work through this. So yeah, I like to work with the girls at life on their mental side of things.
And if you're working with if there's a young wrestler listening to this and they say, okay, what does that even mean to visualize, or how do I do it? Is it something where you pick a particular technique you're working on, or do you just kind of close your eyes and whatever comes in, you work on that?
I mean, it kind of depends. Like, I do try to hit like reps, but I really enjoy visualizing match, like walking out from, the warm-up area. I know my coach is behind me. I might see my opponent before me, walking up onto the mat. I like to run through a match a lot, and that really gets my blood pumping because you're just in it. For some people, they like to see it, first person. Some people, I like to see it like third person. That's how I see visualization a lot.
Really? You do it third person?
Yeah, almost like as if someone was like videoing me. Like that's how I see it. I try not to because I've heard like it's better to do first person, but I see it as third person a lot.
I never even thought twice about that I just assume that everyone sees it the way they see it. But wow, so that's pretty cool to think about that, like
Yeah.
that's what you're seeing as like an overarching view of you walking out and so forth.
Yeah, like usually like walking out, like I can see that first person, but once it becomes action, like I start seeing it from like a third person view. Yeah. And then like some people like to think of it like they have like weights in their hands. So it has to make them go slow. Like, so they have to like really go through the motion slowly and be in that moment for longer. Mine tends to get sped up because I'm got adrenaline pumping because I'm thinking about a match already. But
you get that fired up from it?
I'll do. Oh yeah. Like that's why I like to do it before practice in college, because like, all right, I'm kind of tired, I don't want to be here. All right, give me 2 minutes to sit down and just think about wrestling so and I'm gonna be ready to go.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to chat with you. I know we've exchanged some messages, and thank you for being patient on my reschedule.
Yeah, no problem.
I overbook myself frequently, so it's always great to talk to a fellow Illinoisan, and we're big fans of you here, and just wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely.
Today's episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by BetterHelp. SpartanUp listeners can save 10% on their first month by going to betterhelp.com/Spartan. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Combat Series on SpartanUp Podcast. SpartanUp is your partner in resilience for mind, body, and spirit. We're here 3 days every week. Tuesdays, you can find Joe DeSena, founder and CEO of Spartan, interviewing biohackers, business leaders, authors, and athletes. Thursdays and Saturdays, catch episodes from our DECA, Endurance, Trail, Combat, and LaRuta series. Do you know someone who needs a little nudge? Maybe they could use some motivation, tactics to be stronger, healthier, happier, more successful. Tell them about our show. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. We want to know who's watching and who's listening. Thanks. See you next time.